It's been so long. I'm sorry I've been a little absent, but I've got some really good stuff for you. I have been working away in my hidey hole here to give you some examples about how I use ChatGPT. And this is not one of those videos where it's like, tell me everything my prospect cares about and send an email for me. It's not one of those things. So let me give you a little bit of history because that will shape the context of what I'm about to show you. And before we get to that, I'm going to show you how I'm going to do prospecting for me. I don't usually have to do this because I have so much inbound, but I am now moving to a world where the primary thing I sell is consulting, all the way to a world of product, right? So I'm monitoring 20,000 companies every single day for their open jobs, and we're saving them. You can search by keywords in that database in seconds. So the product is now at a place where for sophisticated sales teams, you can just buy this data directly and use it. It's what I use in a lot of my engagements. All right. That aside, now I'm testing a hypothesis here, which is I think actually people can just use this data without all the other consulting stuff and some of the other pieces that I provide. So how do I go outbound to these folks, right? Well, one thing that I've learned in the last month is if you give away something valuable for free, people appreciate it. So what I have done is I've done two things. The first thing is I pulled all B2B companies. I use Harmonic to do this. I'm probably going to have to do some additional scoring. And then I pulled all leads at those companies. Okay, so we have all the leads now. We've got all the companies. But there is some nuance that when I look at these companies, I'm like, kind of not that one, kind of not that one. So instead of using this approach, which I'm going to show you, which is totally the scalable approach, I just need a little bit better inputs. I basically have hand curated 10, 20 companies where I have provided them free data. And I have a lot of leads at those companies because that's how I sorted my list. So now I can send a 200 to 300 email campaign people with only 5 to 10 companies. So I can have enough dispersion that I know people have seen my message and I can be proud of the quality of that message. But what I'm going to run you through today is the scaled version of this play. What I would do to take what I'm doing manually and scale it to my entire TAM with a message that I could be proud of. So let's dive in. All right. So the first thing is that I pulled all these B2B companies. So I used Harmonic to do this, and I cross-enriched with Apollo. The nice thing about Apollo is that they have data on the company description, the SEO description. They grab a couple of different, and they have like tags. So they have kind of the best amount of information about a summary of a company that you can find. So what I did is I took that summary company information and I wanted to know a couple of things. I wanted to know what does the company do in sort of re-summarize what the company does. Do they serve B2B or B2C? This B2B, B2C data is like weirdly, it's not great. It's not great across the board. A lot of people have trouble filtering this. I generally do number of folks in sales, industry that they sell to. I can connect that with like G2 data. So like, are they on G2? So I sort of get a picture of this B2B with like 5 to 10 different data points if I really want to be certain. Then I want to know what departments they sell into. And specifically what I asked ChatGPT to do, and I will show you my prompt so you could steal it if you like, is what are the departments that they sell into that Apollo has coverage on? Then I said, what are the titles that they sell to? And then this is the crazy part. I said, what are the keywords that would appear in those titles job description? So let's pop over to ChatGPT so you can see what this looks like. So basically, the company, a re-summarization of the company, the industry, the departments from Apollo, right? I gave it the prompt, and I'll walk you through the prompt in a second. The titles, and then these are all the keywords. So what I'm going to do with this data is I'm actually going to programmatically run this search on my jobs data. So I can send a message that says, hey, Larry, it seems like you are selling into these departments with these titles. More specifically, when you find these keywords inside of these titles, that the lead seems like a better fit for you. So what I've gone and done is I've exported all of the jobs in my database in these departments with these titles and sorted by the sum of these keywords. Let me know if this is useful to you or not. And if you reply, I'm happy to go fetch contacts for you for free. That's the message. So let's scroll back to the prompt. It's a pretty crazy prompt. It took me a while to build. So create a formatted table with 6 columns and 1 row. Sometimes ChatGPT is like, you just want 2 columns, right? So I had to specify. Each column should be named with the words in brackets. Don't include the brackets themselves. The questions or answers should be the company description that is located below the 3 characters of the prompt. So I want to make sure that it knew, here's the company description, here's the prompt, separate them. I don't think I had to put this stuff in. It actually did pretty good without putting stuff in parens, but a 1-sentence summary of the problems their product helps solve. This is what I want. I actually wanted to understand what's the problem that a company is encountering. So I didn't want the company description. I wanted a re-summarization of the problem. Do they sell their services to other businesses, B2B, consumers, B2C, both B2B, B2C, or other? Only respond with these options. Which company or department would they likely sell their product or service to, considering these departments only? So this is what I pulled from Apollo. So I wanted to be able to match against the department lead so that I could further make sure that my job search was good. Now, give me the most comprehensive list you can think of, job titles across the department, sorted by the most likely to be the decision maker that would most likely, good thing it didn't shame me for this. I did ask it to help me with my prompt, making sure to only include job titles of the people that would use or interact with product, service, and daily duties. Then I said, thinking about all the information generated at the company description, provide a comprehensive, comma-separate list of keywords and jargon that you might find in the job descriptions of roles listed in the titles they can relate to. Ideally, 50 plus keywords, which it didn't do that. Now, one of the things that ChatGPT is amazing at is lying to you with full confidence, right? It's like it's like that ex-spouse that you had, or probably you in that relationship, let's be honest. Now, double check your work from item 4. Did you include departments that aren't specifically? Basically, it's like, give yourself an F and go fix it before you come back to me. I found this tactic to be pretty good to go, like ChatGPT recognizes when it makes a mistake if you point it out. So in the prompt, I pointed out, and then I just pasted in. I used a concatenate formula inside of Excel to say, shove everything in here. I did the keywords, etc. I did find that the keywords here are probably better for me just to pipe directly into my job search database. Like the keywords from the Paul Prize are good enough. And so the nice thing too is I didn't have to repeat the prompt. I just could paste in company names and it understood that I just wanted additional values here. Now, what I did is I just took that and I pasted it in. So I just did this manually for a handful of companies. I don't need too many, right? These are the number of leads. So I only need a handful of these companies. Now, let me show you the search example that I performed. So this was for the first company, Madison Logic. They're like an ABM company. Convert your best accounts faster. All right, great value prop. Totally get it. ABM, this is like ABM crazy. So I just did this manually because, again, I only need to hit 5, 10, 15 accounts for me to test this hypothesis, which is all I want to do. I don't need to sell a billion of these things. I just need to test, do I have my message right? Is this valuable to people? Can they use it? So I found keywords myself. Now, if you look at the keywords that ChatGPT provided, let's take a look. Account-based marketing, nailed it. Multi-channel marketing, okay, maybe. Customer journey, maybe. Marketing automation, for sure. Lead generation and demand generation, right? That both of those things would probably be in keywords. Sales acceleration, advertising, digital advertising, maybe. Let's see the words I came up with. ABM, velocity, account-based marketing, right? 2 different jargon. So I probably would adjust my prompt to include, to actually tell GPT to include jargon. MQL, right? Doesn't appear anywhere, but I know that people think about MQLs, marketing qualified leads, qualified accounts, qualifying accounts, display advertising, display ads, content syndication, right? Upsell, cross-sell, key accounts, target accounts, multi-channel, omni-channel with variations here. So this is, you don't see my tool here, but this is the search inside my tool. And here are the results. 8,000 jobs or so posted in the last 30 days that mentioned these keywords sorted by the frequency of the keyword appears, right? So account-based marketing platforms, right? I don't know how many particular keywords this job had, but it's sorted on the right. You just let's actually maybe I had. Oh, I didn't pull it in, but it's here in my UX. You can see it. So now let's think. So I'm going to basically send a couple hundred emails to the top 10, 20. Now this is not great. Because there are some people in this list that when I pulled like Zumper, I'm not going to sell to Zumper. They're B2C. Now, ChatGPT got that right, which is great. So it's going to help me further refine. But let's talk about how I'd make this better if I wanted to scale this, because I'm not confident that I haven't tested against my database at scale yet, but I'm not confident that ChatGPT does a good enough answer. And that's partly because I didn't provide it good enough inputs. And what I mean by that is the best way for me to figure out the titles are to go to their case studies page and programmatically pull their case studies, because then I will know these are the people that they sell to. And I can extract the titles in those case studies. So now I have actual titles they sell to from actual people that have reviewed them. I probably would also look at the G2 data, because the G2 data has titles in the category. So I can expand this search by saying, great, give me everyone in this category with these titles. So now I've got a pretty good understanding of like, hey, ChatGPT, these are the titles they sell into. The other thing that I would probably do is I would pull job descriptions at those companies of those titles and make an assumption that, hey, ChatGPT, these are the titles that I care about. Now, ChatGPT has a memory, so you can say, remember this, and label it. Now, it kind of goes a little crazy. You do have to restart the chat after a while because it starts drinking its own Kool-Aid. And so I would feed in the titles from the customer case studies. I would feed in example titles from me, and I might even feed in like reviews or something. So that way I can have a better understanding of the departments they sell to, because I know that data. If I can find the title, I can tell the department. And then I can have ChatGPT say which department of these doesn't match. So I can merge data sets essentially from my data set to something like an Apollo. Then once I have the actual job descriptions from my data, I can say, use this information and tell me the keywords based on these job descriptions from the companies that I know that they have sold to that might make them a good fit, right? So I'm prompting along the way and I'm providing better information. Now, like, would I be proud to send what GPT gave me here to like several thousand people? Not in my business, but like, would I send it for someone that doesn't do lead gen? Like, I might do that because I feel like if you get a message from me, it has to be the very best version of anything that you could receive. So I don't want to labor the point here. That's how I'm using tools like OpenAI. I'm providing it with data with an opinion about what I want to do with the data, and also allowing GPT to take unstructured text, provide it in a structured way so that I can ship a campaign. And I'm going to provide you two ideas here to leave you with. The first is, if you're building your own outbound sequence, do not think about scale. Everything we talked about weirdly is about scale, but don't think about scale. What you want to do is assume that you, as the founder with the most context, have unlimited time to write an email. What is the email that you'd write? And then what you need to do is you need to find ways to make it cheaper to send that email. Now, if you're watching this, you're probably selling into B2B. You probably have, deal sizes of north of 30, 40, 50, 60, 100K, right? Well, the math here says that you could spend $30,000. Sales reps get paid 20%, right? You can spend $20,000 on a $100,000 deal to get a closed deal, which means that if you're closing at 20%, that's $4,000 per conversation that you have, right? And you can work the math down from there and how many leads you need to hit, right? You have tens to hundreds of dollars per company to do research, and whatever that may be. That might be ChatGPT, it might be outsourcers. So spend the money. Go do that. Don't think about scale. Write the best email that you can, and write 50 or 100 of them. You're going to start to see things that you care about when you look at these companies that are relevant to your product that you want to speak about. It's going to be different for every industry. It's going to be different for a variety of companies, but you need to find the patterns first before you scale it. And the last thing is that these large language models are absolutely fantastic for outreach, and you should be thinking about them. We have a window, as Eric Nowoslowski says, that we've got a window here where this is going to be valuable before it gets flooded. And I think we're still in that window. But to be able to use this effectively, you cannot ask it black box questions. It will lie to you. You need to ask it questions where you understand the shape of the box and you can fact check it, which in this case, I can go to the company's website and say, are these the keywords that I, Jordan, would have picked out? And if it is, then I know that it's doing its job, right? And it can help me scale something that I would do manually. But if it's wrong, I need to think about better ways to prompt the technology. Thank you so much for watching here at 9 a.m. on a Wednesday, and I look forward to get back to the rapidly posting schedule I was probably a week ago. Thanks so much for watching. If you have any questions for me, send me a note, and if you want to know more, I'm always happy to share. And I'll post this video on YouTube too. Later!